The following podcast may be explicit. One Joe Young presents Adventures from the Shed, a tabletop RPG podcast. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com. Mostly victorious at the Cave of Stolen Goods, our group of adventurers have learned of a connection with the nearby city Herak. We rejoin them this episode as they sit down together at the Pig to discuss their plans for moving forward. Enjoy the podcast.
Hi, and welcome to The Shed for Adventures from the Shed. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com. Search us up on the internet. You'll find us all over the place. Follow any of those links, especially on Facebook, where we do a fair bit of interaction with our fans, and look forward to seeing you there. We're jumping back into our Dungeon World campaign, set in our world of Parrot. We're calling this campaign A New Frontier, and one of our players in A New Frontier is right here, and his name is...
This is Chris. I'm playing Uriel, the Immolator.
Next is...
Oh, this is Kelly. I'm playing McTrillium, the Druid.
And this is Kurt. I am playing Breton. He is a human ranger.
And this is Bridget. I'm playing Lenore, the cleric.
And I am Joe. I am the Game Master as we continue this Dungeon World campaign. To give us a quick recap of what our last session was all about is Chris again. Go ahead, Chris.
We started off that we were rushing in to start a fight with the hobgoblins at the cave in the forest. We had Uriel rushing in like a madman with his flaming sword and basically took the brunt of some arrows, but luckily came away unharmed. Breton threw some arrows down range as well, and then Lenore fired off her magic missile, her blue ball magic missile.
Yep.
And then when we had two of the wolves, we had Trillium as a wolf, and then we had Cloud go in for flanking action. I chopped two guys in half. I'd like to point that out. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
That was pretty cool.
And the battle ensued, and most of the guys ran off because the big dude kind of gave them the retreat mode, and then I took him out.
Yep.
And then we decided to investigate the cave, and we found some interesting standard from the city of Herak that we need to investigate. And also there was a shadow upon the ceiling that turned out to be some type of living statue creature that I sucked out and let get away.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah.
Then you guys went back to town, returned the stuff to the sheriff for the townsfolks, identified the piece of parchment as coming from Perquet's boutique stationery store in the city of Herak. And at that point we were saying we'll do the level up move, everybody get a rest in, wake up in the morning, meet at the Pig for breakfast, and talk about what the next steps are. So just out of curiosity, like between your characters, what types of things would you eat for breakfast? I'll tell you, on the Pig's menu, our standard fare of eggs and bacon and other different forms of pork, several different breads, toasted or not toasted, a couple of different muffins, but they're kind of grainy, and any other assortment of regular breakfast foods that you might have. Just out of curiosity, what might people order at the Pig?
Oh, Uriel's getting a heaping pile of eggs, sausage, and bacon.
Ah, okay.
Oh, gosh.
I'm more of a muffin person.
The Muffin Man.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Muffins and ale.
Lift that up a little bit, please.
I was speaking softly.
Thank you.
Muffins and ale.
Did you say muffins and ale?
Yeah.
You did?
Oh, awesome, because I was going to say I would also be drinking at breakfast if I was back at town.
Cool.
Breton, not Kurt.
Well, yeah.
So, I would eat a big breakfast with a big tankard of ale.
Cool.
And I'm sneaking Cloud some of my sausages if she's up for it.
Probably.
She's definitely up for that.
And
much appreciated.
From the stubborn streak, I would think any time that Breton might tell her not to take the food, she'd be like, yeah, whatever. Shut up. Let me have it.
And Trillium, since she's a druid and she's not often in town, this is an occasion for her, so she's going to get a little bit of everything.
Interesting.
She wants a little sampler.
Like a sampler platter kind of thing. Okay.
See, I'm specifically not eating animal product.
Okay. Yeah, all the muffins are grains of some type, so that would work. Cool. So it takes them a few minutes to prepare the breakfast, and they have perfectly average food, nothing particularly special. But there's also nothing bad at all on the menu. It's just all completely average. The breakfast is prepared out for you, and now you have all of your information of what happened yesterday and what has happened so far over the last several days, what adventure you've been through so far, and where it might be leading you. Let's have the characters try and talk about what the next steps are.
I think we want to check out the Perquet's boutique when we get into town in Herak.
Yeah, I do think we should head to
That's one solid clue anyway.
Herak and bring our note with us and see if we can talk with Perquet and maybe he knows who he sold some of that stationery to, or...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an odd situation, right? Because if I remember correctly, the stuff that's getting stolen is not particularly valuable, right?
It is, when I was saying before, not particularly valuable, it's the valuablest stuff in Valchand, but it's a small town.
Right.
So nobody there has collections of diamonds and gold and what have you. But they're stealing the best stuff in town.
Right.
Just a crappy town.
So if someone off in Herak is behind this, it's curious like what
what's the
benefit
goal?
they're really getting from this, like why this is happening. But
Maybe they're originally from Valchand and just, I don't know, being a pain in
Vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Vengeance in Valchand.
isn't Herak, it's a 2-day journey?
Yeah.
2 days to the east, yeah.
Yeah, so why are they traveling that far?
But
It's a
they didn't.
little-
They sent this statue person thingy do the
That can
dirty work.
apparently go
Yeah.
really fast, so it wouldn't take it 2 days.
But why are they going to the trouble of doing this in Valchand? I mean, a much bigger city, there's obviously opportunities for theft, higher value stuff there. I mean, we
Maybe-
don't know.
maybe
We can't
they have
answer
done.
it.
But it's easier to steal here.
That's true.
Yeah, supposedly they stole, grain pieces or whatever from...
So I'm going to take this as you guys are all talking out loud
Yeah.
at the table. Give me a wait person's name. Male or female, doesn't matter to me. Somebody who's serving you at the table.
Shirley.
Shirley?
was
Shirley,
gonna say-
you must be kidding.
I was going to say Sheila.
Don't call
That's
me
so
Shirley.
funny.
Her name is Shirley Sheila, maybe, perhaps.
Shirley.
Actually, Sheila would be in the kitchen. Shirley is serving. Shirley,
It's her
Sheila,
sister.
serving. Overhearing your conversation, as a wait person is wont to do in a tavern, of course. She says, the thefts have been all around in this area. It hasn't just been us. Other people traveling through have reported thefts in other towns recently.
All right, so this is part of a bigger problem.
That
It's
statue thing
widespread.
gets around.
Remember, I was telling you, everybody passes through Valchand at some point because it's in between cities. And so the talk has come through. While you guys were out on your adventures over the last couple of days, people traveling through have mentioned other towns around. All towns, mind you, no bigger places. But other towns have reported things being stolen.
It's possible this person is just looking for something specific and he's just like
Take
canvassing
everything.
the area, just grab everything and I'll pick through it later kind of thing.
Could
Or
be.
specific items, perhaps.
Is anybody in this group from a town nearby? Or someplace in this region, I guess I would say.
I was kind of found out in the middle of nowhere,
Okay, yeah, because
orphan
you don't
and-
know where you're from.
Right.
All right.
I'm possibly
I don't know.
from Herak.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Rika
Or
headquarters.
definitely.
definitely.
Okay.
Possibly, definitely.
Okay, so if you're from Herak, then you would recognize one or two of the other towns that she mentions that people came through. And we can make up names as we go for those. Kurt, for Breton, is he born and raised around here?
Do you want him to have been?
The idea is if you know that you were born and raised in a town nearby, that town's going to be one that's been stolen from that you're hearing about now.
No, I would say I'm probably not from this region. And when I say
Okay.
region, I would think of kind of a state or two. I'm probably like the next region over.
Okay. Then you probably don't recognize the names of the small towns that she mentions.
Well, I might recognize them as a ranger. I've done a lot of work
Yeah.
in this area, but I'm not originally from here.
Okay.
So
Kelly?
Yeah, I would be from
Somewhere
a
around
neighboring
here.
town. Yeah.
So if you can think of a town name, any name is fine, because towns can have pretty much any name. But that town that you're from is one that Shirley mentions as a town that has been suffering from thievery as well over the last
Okay.
several days.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, so you want the name of the
If
of
you
the
have
town?
one, if you don't have
All
one
right,
right now,
let's
then we
do-
can continue.
Toad Falls.
Toad Falls. It was a freak thunderstorm one day. It sucked up toads from a nearby pond and dropped them on the town. It was actually just a few farms at the time. And as they grew into a larger town and wanted to name it, they called it Toad Falls, based on that crazy day.
All right. Sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So Toad Falls, I don't know, maybe 100 or so people in the small town area, has had anything of value stolen. I'll grab your last meat stick. Sure. What? Look, that's not the worst thing they've heard.
I know.
Although
It's not like he hasn't had my meat in his mouth before.
it's been a while. But
Just a tip.
so with that information, not about the last meat stick, but the information about more things being stolen elsewhere, it's clearly more widespread than just Valchand. So to the point of, if they're just going after Valchand, that's, small potatoes, well, it seems like they've gathered a lot of small potatoes. So maybe they're making mashed
Do we have
potatoes.
like a range of like, wow, that town's that's this many days away? Or?
Let's call it almost the same thing. A circle around Herak, about 2 days worth of travel.
Yeah.
About. So you may be on part of the outlying area. There's been other towns a little bit closer, not really anything farther away.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay.
I think we need to get our
what
stuff
are your
together
thoughts?
and head out to Herak.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we're getting any more information. I mean, we could talk to people on the way, see if they know anything.
You're
What's been
definitely,
stolen, what items
if you
have been
take the
stolen.
road, you'll pass people.
Right.
Yep.
So we definitely got that.
Is this going to be a perilous journey, or are we just going to roll on down the road to Herak?
It depends on if you guys are doing anything along the way, or if you're just saying, we're going to Herak to find out what's going on next. Because we'll just be there. There's
Yeah.
no need to do
I would
anything
say
else.
just take the road and ask
Yeah.
if we run into merchants or whatnot. We could ask people or travelers.
So the one thing I would do before we leave Valchand, there was a mention previously that the townspeople had talked with the sheriff, and if you guys could help stop the thieving, that they'd be willing to put up some kind of reward for you. So what I would ask is if you guys want to look at or if you can think of anything that the town might have that you would want to take with you, supplies, something. It's not like a big old shopping trip, but they would reward you with something. If you have anything in mind that you were wondering, I want my character to have this or that, that would be one thing we'd want to pick up before we go, since you'll be 2 days away once you get there. And this would be a free thing, whereas when you get to Herak, you'll have to pay for whatever, because you are not local heroes there yet.
Do we want horses, or are we going to walk?
He said it's pretty much the same.
Lift it back up, please.
He said it's pretty much the same speed. Whether we walk.
Yeah, I mean, you can use horses, definitely. Valchand would let you use horses that can come back with the next caravan if you don't bring them back yourself.
I would just
maybe
want to make
healing
sure.
potions or something if somebody wants that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I want to make sure I have, good, solid, well-made arrows. That's the most important thing for me right now.
So what do you have for ammo written down right now? 3?
That is a great question.
Because you should start with 3. And what I would say is if you want to make sure from the smithy and with, Uriel's help there,
Yeah, anything that's been damaged, I can repair.
let's just say
easily.
you can go to 5 total ammo.
Okay. That'd be good, because
Yeah.
at some point I'm going to want to do the multiple strike thing.
Yeah. Because that one uses up ammo, blot out the sun, right?
Yeah, basically you can spend extra ammo before rolling and do a double shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
So we've got that. Someone mentioned healing potions. I would say a healing potion. It's not something that would be a plethora of them or any large number of them in Valchand. So 1 healing potion. Whoever wants to take it,
I already have
they
some.
will
If one
offer
of you guys
one
want to
up.
grab it, I already have 2 actually on my character.
It's a special thing. They wouldn't give up all they have. It's actually something the sheriff keeps
Did you get that as
at
part
the
of
jail.
Yeah, I get it as part of my guy, but you guys might want to take one.
Who's
Actually-
squishiest?
Yeah, I get a healing potion as well.
And you also
You're probably
cast,
the squishy.
I might be the
you
squishiest.
also cast
I have minus
cure
1 to
spells.
con.
Right.
Where do you know that you have a healing potion?
It would have been listed here
In
if you
gear,
don't have it.
yeah.
So either you can take it or
Yeah,
he can
one
take
of you
it.
can have it, because
'Cause
I
you
can
probably have
heal
more hit
and
points
I
than-
have one.
What's your hit points? She's at 15.
Yeah, you're
I'm at
squishy.
16.
All right, each take it.
Yeah. So write down
How am
1
I at
healing
16 though if
potion.
I'm at if I have less con than her? Did I screw that up?
What should be your constitution?
It's your constitution plus a number, and your number might be lower than her number.
Yeah, you should be at. How are you at 15 hit points?
I'm
You
8
should
plus
be at
constitution.
10.
What is she? for hit points?
I'm 8 plus con.
Or no, what is it? What is it? No, you're right.
Oh,
You're
so
probably
she's
right.
6 plus her con. I'm
Yeah,
8
6.
plus con. Okay, that's
the
fine.
difference, yeah.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, each
We're good.
class
I'm an
has a
idiot.
different number plus your
yeah.
constitution. And for those who have a healing potion, I don't think it's on the sheet anywhere. A healing potion heals 10 hit points. It's just flat out, you get 10 hit points back when you use a healing potion. No rolling. It's just heals 10.
I'm trying to remember, how does the Dungeon World Druid work if you take damage in animal form? Do you revert
Doesn't
back
make a
with full?
difference. I think there's an advanced move that can change something, but you keep your same hit points no matter what form you're in.
Okay. So why don't you take the potion since you have a little bit less than I do? We can
Yeah.
always share it later.
Now, what does the halfling pipe leaf do?
That's
It
the
makes
one
you super popular.
when you're hanging out with somebody and you want to try and make a deal with them, you get a plus to your making a deal with them. But you both have to be smoking the leaf.
Yeah, you kind of influence
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
That's what I've got checked off.
All
and
right.
then hide armor is
Yeah.
another one I've got. All right, so I'll take the potion.
Yep.
That sounds good.
So we have horses.
Sure.
Yeah, you guys can essentially you'll borrow horses from Valshand, and you have an option of either you bring them back with you, or the next caravan that leaves Herak on the way to Valshand, they can bring the horses back. They'll just tie them up along with the back of the wagon that they take, and bring the horses back for you.
Got it.
Cute.
Kind of a regular thing. Chances are they're not even Valshand's horses.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a swap back and forth thing.
All right.
All right. So if we have what
So
we
even-
think we want, go
Sorry,
ahead.
even though we were joking about it before, in my mind now, Herak is nestled in a mountainous region. So
Yeah.
even if we have a road going for the first day, the second day I would envision getting kind of narrower and more treacherous and going up.
It's never quite what I would call treacherous because it's a trade
More
route.
hilly.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, there will be different. There'll be elevation changes and curves to match the terrain. Yeah.
Gets bumpy when it gets cold.
Yes. Definitely. There are little heaves in there, like frost heaves kind of thing. I don't know what he was
Frost
thinking,
heave.
but but it really is when you approach it. It's a hilly region, but there are indeed twin peaks on either side of the road into.
And in the morning, it's often covered with a fog.
Frosted
But then
tips.
as the
Yeah.
fog lifts, you can see it in all of its glory.
Yes,
when it's
exactly.
uncovered.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true. They have a special name for the fog in the air. They call it a brazier fog, and it lays over the peaks. Snow-capped,
Frosted
mountains.
tips,
Yes.
tassels, whatever.
I don't understand. Actually, in the top of each mountain is a little flag that waves all the time.
Does one go this way? One go this way?
Yes, they can go in opposite
Coriolis
directions,
effect.
regardless of what way the wind is blowing.
Right, of course.
And
On our way to Herak.
and you arrive. You arrive.
Do we
didn't have
meet
to do the
any other
perilous
Oh,
merchants?
do you
journey
want to?
that-
That was the other
yeah.
thing. We're not going to do a perilous journey unless you guys were trying to go on an adventure along the way. If
Yeah.
you just want to
No, we
stop
just
and
wanna
chat
get
with
there.
people
Yeah, that would be
along
the only
way.
thing that we might like. Hey, what items were taken, or
Yeah. Okay.
Did you find out? Yeah, did you run into any statuesque kind of person? Did you find out who was taking things, or
Have
was
you
it more
seen a
hobgoblins?
gargoyle?
Who
Yeah.
would we say is the person who would do most of the interaction with the strangers?
Perhaps the ranger. He's got more travel experience.
Yeah. Also,
He's a people person.
It's
He
not
might know
me.
more other cultures a little bit better to how to present.
yeah.
Talk.
And I'm the weird, I think I said it at the beginning, I'm not the ranger who's like the outcast on the edge of society. I'm actually very social. I
Yeah.
like cities and towns. I'm only a ranger because I want to protect the cities and towns from the unnatural
Yeah.
threats. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And I have a
Actually, let me go with one more thing that I didn't even think about that I wanted to say earlier. Going with Kelly had come up with the idea for Trillium with the planting the seeds of the anti-hobgoblin plants. You're able to get that done before you go, which
Okay.
helps to keep Valshand safe.
All right.
Yeah, very nice.
So,
You should give her another healing potion for that.
well, you guys got a healing potion.
I'm just.
if I had felt that you didn't find a way to prevent the thievery again, then they're still unsafe and they're not ready to reward you yet. But
Yeah.
that was part of that prevention. I just didn't even say it earlier.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so Kurt, when your group passes by wagons, maybe you stop and you just turn your horse around and just gallop along. Well, not trot along with them for a little bit, for a minute or so, and then regain ground. Something like as people are passing by. What kind of questions do you want to ask? I know everybody can ask them, but what kind of questions would the actual spokesperson ask?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just generally kind of try to chat, but say, hey, I know y'all are busy and we don't want to take much of your time. But
Yeah.
And I would just probably tell them that we're investigating a number of thefts in the area and ask, have you had any experience or have you heard of anything? And if so, what in particular has been stolen?
Okay, the same. You get the gist that it's the same thing that was going on in Valchon. The more people you talk to, it's all small towns. The thievery only happens at night. Nobody ever sees who did it. In a couple of cases, they've seen some tracks, and these tracks look deeper than human tracks, and they're like small footprints. So there's consistency with some of the story you're getting. And I'll reiterate some of the things I wanted to point out that I don't know if I got across with Valchon. Aside from valuable stuff, a lot of stuff was family-related stuff, heirloom type of things. But then there were also anything gold they could find, like the gold from the street lamps, that kind of thing.
Right.
So essentially gold and heirloom type of things, it seems to be a pretty consistent pattern. And I think I had mentioned, too, about like gem-encrusted stuff, like the dagger was gem-encrusted. So you're looking at things like precious metals, gems, and family-related stuff. So even, like, for lack of a better term, an old photo album. I know it's not photo albums, but old memento kind of things. Those are missing, even though they might only be valuable to the family themselves.
Okay.
All right. That's the general gist. And just a bunch of small towns. By the time you get to Herak, you essentially hear that there's probably about a dozen towns that this has happened to.
Okay.
Including Valchon and Toad Falls and any other ones that you guys may recognize. Fine.
Okay.
Another consistency would be none of these towns have any sizable defense. It's pretty much like Valchon, where you've got the one person in charge of the town and then volunteers. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of similarities there, too.
Were any of the stolen items found? Or are they still missing?
There are reports of some things being recovered at Valchon, but not from any of the other cities.
So no mention of any hobgoblins besides Valchon?
Can you put your mic a little closer?
So whatever we found
Please.
was only from Valchon.
Yeah, the stuff you guys found was specifically the stuff that came from Valchon. So it was the local cache of stolen goods, if you will.
So that means there might be a cache somewhere outside of Herak.
Yeah,
It's a big city, though.
Yeah.
This is just small towns that we're getting.
And that's the other point. No reports of thievery from anything other than small towns. Like the one farmer who lives 10 miles away from everybody, no reports that he's lost anything. And then the bigger cities, no reports of anything out of the ordinary. I mean, it's a big city, so there's going to be stuff happening. But not a lot of people are missing similar things.
Okay.
Any other questions you wanted to ask the travelers as you go through?
Seems like nobody's really seen anything but us. So, yeah. I think it's
Right.
gonna be more-
There's the mention of tracks,
Yeah.
but things move quickly, as it were.
Yeah.
And y'all are heroes, so you got to do something.
Yeah. All right.
Okay?
Continue.
I guess I would want to ask, one, if people have seen any dragons, and two, how hard it is to get into Herak.
Actually. So as far as the dragon thing goes, there have been reports of some beasts in the outskirts of the area, not within the 2-day circle of where the thievery is, but there are some reports of large beasts that have not been seen in many, many years starting to stir from the outside of the civilized area. That comes up. Nothing about dragons. And then the other part is you are told that it's definitely important to be hard to get into Herak. If you approach soft, you might not even get in.
Got it.
You're going to come with authority.
You must be aggressive.
All right. Large beasts. But they're not.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Cheerleaders outside of Herak. Now, Herak, as you approach Herak, it's a stunning view. It really is, with the mountains and the road that leads up. It's like picturesque thing. It's almost like a pretty road leading up into a huge mansion that holds like 10,000 people. It's a really nice looking place. And
I like how you're using both hands.
Oh yeah,
in
and
front of
circular
you.
motions.
Huge
Yeah.
tracks.
Yeah.
Circular motions to describe Herak.
It's huge. It's good. And there, in order to get in, there's a doorknob at the front. You have to grab with both hands and squeeze.
Right. Oh,
Make
okay.
honking noises. You have to make honking noises. Now the
This is such a silly place.
you can enter right into the city. We'll call it the city. It's only within the city. There's a not necessarily a keep, but an inner spot that is walled off, and that's where the government sits, and some of the guards, the war room, and where the local authorities are. So that's within a walled-in area. But the rest of the city is open. So there's a big spot in the middle, like a keep, and then outside is all the way around it is all the people in the shops and the residential areas. So it's easy to just walk in.
All right.
There are no guards stopping you from walking into the city. You would be stopped if you try to enter the keep, the central area.
Say we make our way to Parquet's Boutique.
Parquet.
Parquet?
Parquet.
Yeah. It is a shop specializing in exotic and executive stationery and writing implements. Run by a very snooty man who's very stuck up. He's very Parquet. Wow.
That's awesome.
But he, as soon as you enter the place, you can immediately recognize there's several spots where there are displays of parchment that can match the weave and everything of that piece of paper that you have in your pocket. You're pretty positive the information you were given is correct, that this is where it came from.
Okay.
Are you dressed appropriately to be in an upscale writing shop?
I'm definitely not.
No?
We kind of have our traveling clothes on.
I'm just trying not to burn the place down.
It's probably a good idea.
Maybe I should wait outside.
This is the wrong place for somebody with the name of Immolator.
Yeah, I'll hang outside. People watch.
Yeah. So what you want to do?
I might give the paper to, I almost said Roberto.
You call him Roberta. Hey,
That's the pool boy's name.
Breton or Roberto?
You gotta roll that R though.
Brett,
Roberto.
I'm going to give you the paper because you have much better charisma than I do.
Oh, well.
Much more of a
He's a people person.
people person.
Yes.
See if he remembers who he might have sold some of
You
this
recognize
paper
this
to.
writing?
Yeah, do you recognize this?
Or maybe if he recognizes it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if before we go in, if it would make more sense for us to find like our inn or place to stay and maybe make ourselves a little more presentable for gonna be
The Stinky Salamander is a favorite for travelers.
the Stinky Salamander.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
Okay.
I will make my way to the Salamander while you guys deal with business here. I'll procure some rooms.
There you go.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm as clean as possible, as presentable as possible.
So you wanna
before
clean up before you
interacting
go
with
in?
Monsieur Niplet. Monsieur
Monsieur-
Niplet.
So as an example, if you went into a regular general store and you bought a notebook, you might get like 10 notebooks for a coin. In this shop, one piece of paper is like 10 coins. This guy is very proud of what he does.
Jeez.
And you have to be rich to shop there. Yeah, no question that the only people going in there are, the people with nice clothes and a lot of money, and when they write, they want it to look really pretty. He doesn't even sell anything to the city. They use normal paper and pens.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that if I just walk in there and start asking him random questions, it's probably not going to get very far.
Could be fun, though.
It could be fun.
Yeah, you might want to look fancy.
Do I have enough money to look
Where
fancy?
else can you clean up to look fancy than the Stinky Salamander?
Could I? Let's see. What if I turned into
A fancy wolf.
some sort of bug or something small that can maybe creep into the shop? Since we're all
Yeah. Yeah, you could
hobos.
definitely turn into an animal that could get into the shop without a problem. I mean, provided you roll well enough. There's always that. But,
Okay.
yeah. I don't see any reason why you could not.
All right, I'm gonna.
You could do the whole salamander
maybe a
thing
cat.
again.
A cat? That's
Like a
pretty
really-
noticeable, though.
But it maybe like a kitten. That maybe he
Yeah.
would take it in.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking more like a
Something
fly.
that's like a fancy cat.
Or cat? I don't know. I mean, is he partial
is-
to cats?
I don't think he's a cat person.
All
I don't
right.
think he wants anything he'd need to clean up after.
Okay, so
He
I'm
could
gonna
technically
stick
be
with.
the main bad guy. And it's his writing, and he wrote the note. I mean,
We could find
you gotta
out.
watch out.
I don't know.
Dun,
I mean,
dun, dun.
I think if I just turned into a fly, literally, I could just be a fly on the wall.
You could. And he might have really good fly swatters.
That's true.
It doesn't take a whole lot to squish a fly. I don't know why he swatted the fly.
All right, guys.
You should be a fly, and then, I mean, it's just
I'm
going to
just
be
gonna go
it's going to
for
be a
it.
big defy danger
Yeah,
move
it
if
very
it's
well
got
could
fly
be.
swatter.
You have this big square thing flying right at you.
And flies can't drink healing potions, just so you know.
Sure, they could.
It's like 10 times the size of the fly.
All you would have
You
to
would
do
drown.
is put a little drop on your fingertip.
That's kind of funny. So, if that's what you want to do, let's go for it. Let's go ahead and shapeshift.
What about not
What
to
about-
not to poop on your fly idea, but what about if you could
Not
turn
a fly on
what
your
about
poop.
if you could turn into some kind of rich exotic animal,
Yeah, but
and like you could be like a, I don't know what it would be in our world, but like a parrot on my
I was
shoulder.
thinking a parrot.
And I could come in and be like, monsieur, I'm sorry, I'm so poorly dressed. It's been a long day on the road, but something that would show that I had like exotic, fancy, like potentially wealth.
And then she starts
Okay.
with like pirate talk from the parrot.
That would be awesome.
Is there?
You got a big butt.
Does Herak have like a city animal? You know, kind of like a, or does this region have like a national bird or something, or a national animal kind of?
Yes.
we need to have lemurs.
Lemur kind of
Ring-tailed lemurs.
Yeah.
You know what? What about So I was talking about the standard of the city.
Mm-hmm.
It has a very fancy bird head, like a cockatiel has the little feathers that
Yeah, it's
stick up off
cockatiel.
its head. That kind of look.
Okay.
A fancy bird
I
head.
mean, I'm just thinking,
So
I'm
Herak has
spitballing.
a cock.
That,
You can
that'd
also
be
just be a
good.
fly, but
because, well,
I guess you're just going to sit there until he says something interesting.
no, that works
Okay.
because then it gets you in there, and you can interact with him. If I just went in as a fly, I could, I can't talk to him or anything. So
That's a good point.
it would be,
It would all sound like zzz, 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 zzz. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I think we should go in, and you should be some fancy bird on my shoulder, and I'm just going to be super arrogant, and
More arrogant than he
notwithstanding
would be,
that
yeah.
the way that I'm clothed, and talk about how I'm so glad to be back. It's so good to see him again. It's been so long, and I've run out of my stationery, and you just can't get anything of any quality in Toad Falls.
You're walking in with a full heaping spoonful of bullshit.
Yeah, lots of
Nice.
bullshit. And in Toad Falls, my correspondence has suffered because of the quality of the paper. And in fact, several of my lovers don't pay me the attention that they used to because of the shoddy ink. And they just don't think that I take our relationship as seriously as they did. And it's so good to be back. And I hope that my special order is ready.
We'll take that.
Yeah,
You're
that sounds
just
awesome.
Right, walking through the door, spewing the full line of BS.
Right. I trust you've already credited, you've already debited my account and everything is ready and in order.
So there's a danger he's going to call the cops on you. Let's see if you can defy that danger.
Well, if he
Do I need
does,
to-
I just want to know that my parrot is going to peck the shit out of his face.
yeah, because we don't know if I've
Yeah,
actually shapeshifted yet.
You
I need
will.
to-
You will. Let's find out how successful it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, but before we go in.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Here we go.
Let's see how that works out.
All right. So 7 plus
Wisdoms
wisdom. Where's my wisdom?
right there.
All right.
Plus
so
two.
9.
Whiz. So you get 2 holds, I believe.
Yep.
So you
All right.
got it.
I got it.
You are a fancy bird.
Does that count as 1 hold when
No.
you actually turn?
No.
No, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Now, if we use you are being a fancy bird as a help to impress him, that will use up 1 hold. So here's what I'd like to do. If you want to, when you have your Defy Danger roll, presumably with Charisma here, if you use a hold, you can add a +1 to his roll.
Okay.
Because you're trying to boost his Charisma by maybe ruffling a few feathers or something.
Yeah.
And that's her whole
Preening?
point here is
Yeah,
to make
exactly.
me look more
Cooing.
impressive
Yeah.
than I am.
Nice cooing
So
sound.
because of the way you're going to walk in and your appearance, he will be dubious, and we'll see if that changes.
Right. And I want to pretend like I've already met him and I know him and I've
Exactly,
ordered
yeah.
from him, and if he doesn't remember me, there's something wrong with him.
And we're going to try and take him off guard.
All right, I rolled a 6. I have a +1 from charisma, which is 7.
Okay.
Then I get her +1 for
She
the
uses
help,
a hold,
is
yeah.
8. Adding 1 to, or not. I'll go with the 8.
You don't want to either of you use your
Yeah,
points?
you guys both have points.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I've
going to
got-
get them back if you fail. If you don't fail, then
All right,
Don't
yeah,
lose
I've
them,
got enough. So
right?
I've
Yep.
got 3.
Okay, we'll
I
each
mean,
use one.
Definitely.
Okay.
Knock it up to 10.
So that'll
so
take
you
it up
get
to
it
10.
up to 10.
Cool.
So let's put them chips back into bank.
Given
all
that
right.
I rolled a 10, I'm also asking his advice for where the best looking fine ladies are in town.
It's funny that you're a very well written person, apparently, but also very sexually active. So
As all
that
good
might not.
aristocrats
so those,
are.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is in his world, those two things might not go together.
That's true.
He does run a paper shop. He probably doesn't get a lot of action, but all right. So you definitely take him off guard in a convincing manner. And
Everybody gets a lot of action in her
He
act.
spends quite a few moments staring at the bird, choosing not to flip it off. Yeah. We're in Herak after all. And after he takes a moment to recompose himself, and he takes a moment to straightens out his fancy vest over his well-made tailored shirt and says, what is your name?
Oh, my name is Saunders McMillan.
Let me check the order book. I'll be right back. And he goes over to the counter and he's going through, and it's like you can tell he's not finding it, but he says, "Oh, I see. Yes, I think it is not complete. What are you missing?"
Oh well, it was a large order. My assistant put it in. It might be under her name. She
I'm just waiting for the name. The look on Kurt's face.
I
is
wish I
just
were
like,
faster with these things.
Say Trillium. My assistant Trillium.
Yeah, exactly. My assistant, Parrot McTrillium.
Parrot McTrillium.
I think we had
She's British.
we had 200 or 300 of the 14 count dual weave cream colored cards, personalized, of course, with my name and address, and the matching envelopes. And then we had, I think it was 100 scrolls for official pronouncements.
You should have something that matches what we're bringing. The notepad that we found, the note we found.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could say.
Because you could ask about that.
You can see him
That's a great idea. So the
quickly
cards-
writing them down.
Right, and so the card, it matched this style right here. It was one just like this. So, surely
while
you
he's
recognize
writing-
this.
And you could see he is writing like super speed, like shorthand in the courts, like they used to when they wrote, and everything really fast. But it's immaculate writing. It's very clear. It's like every O and every R, they look exactly the same as the previous. As like he's a typewriter.
they happen to look like the ones on our...
And when he's pretty much finishing up with all the things you rattle off, he looks and sees, and he is clearly startled when he sees what you showed him, but quickly composes himself. It's like that's over there on that shelf.
Was I able to see his writing?
Yes, and it is very similar to what you're holding. A different color. He's writing in a black, and what's on the paper is it's like a bluish, almost black, really dark blue.
But same handwriting?
It looks really close. I don't know if you happen to be an expert on that. You might be able to spout some lore or something on that, but it looks pretty close.
I mean, if I'm happy to
Do
spout.
you know about
Or you could even
comparative
spot it. You could
handwriting?
see. You're looking.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
And that's a perfectly reasonable answer. If you have no idea what to look for and when you're trying to match two different things up.
No, but
when
if
it
you're
comes to
watching him write and
handwriting.
looking at
Yeah.
the note and that guy's writing, you might be able to see if it matches.
But from first glance, they look pretty close. It would be one of those things where it's like, those look pretty close, but you'd probably want an expert to analyze it. Now, the question is, are either of you expert enough that analyzing it would make a difference? And if you don't think you're that level of analyzing handwriting,
Right.
then that's fine. You just
So
say,
we're just
"I wouldn't do
comparing
that."
like his handwriting that he's
Yeah.
writing
To the note.
at the
To the note.
moment
Yeah.
to the
and
note.
it's
See if
really
it's the
quick.
same.
It's really
Okay.
quick too. Like I'll show you what I was just doing here. When I'm making my notes here, I wrote this, and this is like the note you guys are holding, and then I was just writing this, and you look at the moment when you're handing me this, is that enough time to know the same person did it?
Right.
It looked close,
Right.
but if you're not taking the time to study it, then it looks close,
So
Right.
close enough for us to be suspicious.
Right. So,
But he tries to redirect you quickly to where you can find more of that paper. He has that on the shelf.
Right.
If that was part of your order, that's on the shelf. You can have that.
So-
And he's scribbling down. I say scribbling, immaculately, quickly writing the other stuff you're rattling off.
so before we leave, which we're not doing, but before
Yep.
we leave, I'm going to tell Trillium, since I can now speak with animals,
You sure can.
that she has to distract him, and I'm going to grab one of those notes so that we can make a more detailed comparison
There
later.
are
Good idea.
plenty of things laying around the counter with his handwriting on it.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Any one of those,
Yeah.
just on the way
it
out, I
doesn't
just want
necessarily have to be
palm
the one he just wrote, but there are receipts, orders. I mean, he's checking the order book.
Right,
there are
right.
things laying around.
So
yeah.
she can just flitter off just enough, not making a huge scene, but just enough to distract him while I just palm
crap
something
on
off the
his
table.
shoulder or something.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then right. So then I guess the question would be, I don't actually have any money to pay him, so I talked about
Okay.
debiting my account and everything. But is he actually going to like let us out of the store
At
with all
this
paper?
point, you've convinced him enough that the only thing he'll lose is a small amount of dignity if all of this doesn't work out.
Right,
He's
right.
not going to lose any money because he'll just resell whatever product. And because of your cooperation, you've got him believing you for now.
Okay.
You could walk out of the store, never see him again, and that would probably be the end of it.
All right. So at this point, I would go over and check out the stationery and kind of
Yeah.
take it and the feel and the thickness and everything. Oh, parquet is superb as always. You really do get the best stuff.
And that, of course, makes him very happy because you're right, and he knows it. Now,
It's,
let me throw one more thing out here because you had 2 holds. If you're going to do another bird thing, that's going to use a second hold, and that's when you turn back to a human. When your holds are used up, you turn back to your normal form.
Okay.
So
Well, we don't
So-
want that
you
to
may
happen.
Right, you may distract him in there and
Then
cause further consternation for him, perhaps.
Okay.
Well, what I don't want to say to him is, that you always do get the most superb stuff, and then I want to tell him. Let's just say on the way out.
Yeah.
So was I able to get something or no?
It depends
but
on
it's
how
right.
you want to go about the distraction. I just want to make a note that if you're doing a distraction as a bird, that's going to use up a bird hold, and because
then
of that,
I
you'll
turn-
turn into a
And
human.
that's well handled with
when that
distraction.
happens.
Yeah,
Distraction.
the jig will be up
Yeah, we don't
by
want to do
then.
that.
Yeah.
We'll send the emulator in later to distract him. We'll send the 2 of them back. It'll be easy. It sounds like it's going to be easy to get one of these pieces of paper.
It
Yeah.
shouldn't be difficult.
Right.
People aren't coming in stealing his handwriting.
Right. I might even be able
They're
to
going to
just
come in and steal
palm
a
one.
notebook,
Right.
but they don't want one that's written in. Right.
Well, all right, so I'm going to take a bunch of this stationery
Yep.
and continue to compliment him, and say something like, you always get the most superb products, and then make a point of kind of looking him in the eye and saying, if there's anything ever that I can help you find, I hope that you'll let me know.
Of course. And your name was Stinky McBoopants? I can't remember. 'Cause
McMillan.
I didn't
Remember
write it down.
McMillan.
Yes, McMillan.
Saunders.
I will write that. Saunders McMillan. Yes. Mr. McMillan.
I'm quite adept at procuring things myself. And then I'll just walk out.
Okay. So did you try to steal
well,
something
well.
ahead while you were in there, or no? You're coming back for something?
Yeah, no, I'm going to send them back later to.
Okay.
They won't
you
be
got-
distracting simply by their presence. I
Now you
imagine.
have that information, and you guys can now meet up at the Stinky Salamander, which is actually a name given to it on the street because the board outside with the logo of the place is actually a lizard that's been cooked, and there's smoke lines coming up from it, but it looks like stink lines on a lizard, and it says gotten the name Stinky Salamander because it just looks like a stinky salamander on a piece of wood as for the sign for the place. They do specialize in reptile and lizard meat there. You meet up there. What's the next step?
So you mentioned earlier about the city.
Yeah.
It's not accessible. Like it's
Think
in the
of it-
center.
This is a donut. In the donut hole, is where the royals and the government and the like the general, the militia, what have you. I would say military more than militia. They're all in the walled center area. All the regular people live outside.
Okay.
Even the rich people.
Well, the semi-rich people, middle class-ish,
So is
are
it-
all outside. The richest people are in the middle.
All right, so there are homes inside the keep
Yeah,
walls.
just few, probably less than 100 or so.
And the shop we were at was outside.
It was outside, but it's like
Closer.
Against the keep wall on the outside.
Right.
Okay. So,
And I would say, yeah, to go along with that, it's separated by class. The farther out you get, the more farmer-ish and less wealthy you get.
okay.
When you get towards the city are the more wealthy people. Towards the keep, towards the center.
So, I could fly to the keep
Oh,
or
yeah.
the
There's
center.
nothing to stop birds from flying wherever they want. Or I guess
Maybe
any
I
kind
could
of
do
flying
that
animal.
while you guys hang out at the
Stinky salamander.
Stinky salamander. I was going to say salty.
What's the real name of this place, though?
salamander.
It's been lost to the ages.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. They just accepted Stinky Salamander.
Yeah. Yeah. The last owner, the name went when he died, and they just kept it as Stinky
Yeah.
Salamander. And it's been like that for probably about 10 years.
Get some lizard on the stick.
They specialize in lizard on the stick.
Yeah, you guys come out, I'm already chewing on some.
Yep.
Stuff's awesome. What'd you guys find out?
Toasted lizard on a stick.
Per K, our man.
Well, it seems more likely than not that Parquet actually wrote the note that we found in the cave.
I can go in and ask him about it if you know what I mean.
It's per K, by the way.
Parquet.
He's not a butter substitute.
Yeah, Parquet.
Parquet. And I let him know that, because we don't know these thefts. Is he looking, whoever's behind this, are they looking for something in particular, like maybe an artifact? Or
Could be a lost family heirloom.
Yeah,
that could be.
Exactly. Or are they stealing more broadly for... So I tried to let him know that I was particularly adept at procuring things in the hopes that perhaps he might be interested if he's having trouble finding this thing.
wants you to
reaching out
find
to
it.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it would be good for the two of you to go back in there and get, he's got a bunch of papers around on his desk and notes and receipts and everything, and just somehow find a way to just grab one so we can compare it directly to the note.
Okay.
But it certainly looked like a similar writing style.
All right.
And then we'll have to decide what to do with him. And
Yeah.
I mean, the notes talked about delivery needs to happen by the third day, but we don't know anything about that.
It is.
and it had an address.
It's 2 days since you found the note now.
Correct.
So
and
it
had an
could have
address.
already happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Could have happened weeks
Weeks ago.
Coulda.
Or it could be happening tomorrow.
Very well could be.
Could always stake out the
Dun, dun,
boutique.
dun.
But also, regardless of maybe that delivery wasn't even important. I think what's important is that it had an address for the delivery that was off the market
Oh,
square.
yeah, actually, yeah. That is in Herak, and it is a place where the route you took to get into the city and then to the stationery store and then the Stinky Salamanders off to that side, too. It's like the opposite side of the city, where the market square is. You went into the city and took a right. It's in the city to the left. It's not far, mind you, but
So that's something to check
you
out.
just haven't been there yet.
See what it is exactly.
Yeah?
Whether it's a home or
Is it near my clinic?
It is the
Yes.
clinic.
Since it's a front for the cult,
You're
it
right.
would be in an easy place to get to. It probably doesn't need to be hidden. It might be smart to keep it near the market so you can recruit people.
Certainly, that's going to be
All right, so you want
one
to
of our
check out
next
the
things to do.
address first, or we go talk to Ricky?
I think you should go talk to Parquet just because you'll enjoy it thoroughly.
Probably not. He's not going to enjoy it.
Porque. Talk to Porque.
Yeah, Porqué.
4K.
Okay. So
Perhaps you should
go for it.
Yeah, maybe you could ask about a writing instrument used for something other than ink.
Do you,
Because you're
have,
into that kind of thing.
do you have one with a pen on one side and a knife on the other?
Can I dip in a vial of blood and write a manuscript or a manifesto?
I could just say
She's thinking about
that
My manifesto
that they
is
sent
written
me
in-
over to get some sort of a writing instrument, but I'm not really good with writing, so I want to know what you have.
I could
and-
buy that. A cult. Somebody in a cult
Oh,
has to have
totally.
a fine writing
Yeah,
instrument.
totally.
Haha.
Big time.
I think Jack's up barking at the house to get in. kids aren't paying attention to.
But if you had a robo mower, it'd
If
probably
I
not matter.
had a robot lawnmower.
So we're going to go
Yes.
talk to Perkay.
Per K, yes.
4K.
Porque,
And if you don't want to play out a whole scene with him, you don't have to. But I think.
Oh no!
you should at
Because I
least-
want
at least
to
roll
ask. I need to ask him one question.
I'm curious how
regardless.
it's going to work out. Yeah. Oh, is this the move?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's going to do the move on Perkay.
All up in her rack. Wait.
Yes. It's actually similar to the Bard one. I think Franken Open is the Bard one, but
Yeah,
it's a little
similar,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
So are you going to distract him?
Yeah.
And
kinda.
I'll try
Well, you could start the
So,
conversation.
yeah.
So he's.
Right.
So while you guys are walking up to the shop, you're formulating your little plan.
Yeah.
And remember, neither of you is dressed as the kind of clientele who would normally be there.
Oh right. Especially me.
Right.
But,
You
All
could
right.
feign a little bit better.
probably. Pull your sleeves down, cover everything up.
Okay.
So who's starting what off?
I'll start off.
So as you enter the shop, he's standing at the counter, apparently organizing things that were already completely organized. I think it looks like his methods are to take something that's perfectly stacked, move it a little, and then restack it.
Yeah.
Just because it has to happen.
He seems like
It's
that kind of
very,
guy.
very specific. And he's in the middle of restacking a pile of leather-bound notebooks as you walk in. He gives you a sideways glance, and you get the distinct impression he's hoping you will turn around and walk right back out, and then he goes back to his stacking.
Good day, Mr. Perkay.
Yes?
Hi. I was sent over by Gerda over at the clinic. And
Garta, yeah.
she's looking for a special writing instrument as a gift to give one of her family members. And she sent me over to see what kind of things you have and get a price for her.
He doesn't talk much to you, but he seems to be tolerating you.
Okay.
And he kind of leads you with his eyes towards the display case off to the side of the counter he's working on, and you can see in there a lot of writing things. Looks like some barrels are made of wood or bone or metal or all kinds of different things, but they all look like high quality writing implements.
Okay. Now, it's got to be used with an inkwell. Inkwell. Yes, ink. And so would any of these be better for that, or they all work the same, or like how? What would you think, sir? Because you're such an expert on this.
I'll grab a note if she's busy
And,
with him. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but she's really busy, so she wanted me to come over and help her.
So here we're going to take a. I'm going to pull the rule out now. You are distracting him,
Yes.
and he's trying to do something. So you are aiding him, and
Okay.
we have bonds. So we're going to roll plus the amount of bonds you have with him.
I have 2 bonds with him.
So you will roll plus 2.
Roll what?
Always 2d6 when we roll. When we use the word roll as a capital ROLL, it's
Oh yeah.
2d6. What you got?
12.
So you got 12 plus 2 is
14.
What? 14.
I aid the
All right. So now
out
if
of
we
you.
look, now I said that, and I'll remind you what that is on the basic move sheet on the bottom right.
Oh,
aid
yeah.
or interfere. So that's what you just did. You're aiding him in stealing something. So now
He gets a
Uriel
plus
will
1.
have a +1 to his roll. And how are you going about snatching a bit of his handwriting?
I guess if she's talking to him, I'll find like whatever pile and just kind of like maybe lean on something and like grab it. You know, have his hands forward and grab with this one, and stow it away.
So it doesn't seem very dexterous. I would say that you're approaching it either a smart or wise way.
Yeah,
perhaps.
be wise.
All right.
Be
Let's do
clever.
Well, he's timing it out.
Being clever.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, because it's not necessarily dexterity. You're not just snatching something when he's not looking quickly, kind of thing.
All right, so you're not
Planning it
looking.
out.
That's good.
Good gosh.
good.
I was like, you're not looking. Yeah,
wasn't-
perfect.
He rolled an 11.
that's-
So
Plus
that's
a-
12 plus 13, so 13.
All right,
Yeah.
so this works out very well.
We're smooth.
Yeah. You have him distracted. I think maybe because he's dumbfounded as to why you're asking him if his pens will work with ink. And that, I mean, this guy's very snooty.
Because in her mind, it's like that ain't ink.
He doesn't even. He
I'm
was,
like, it's not gonna
he
be
was
used
hoping
with
you'd
ink.
walk right back out of the store. to
Perhaps
begin
some
with.
viscous ink.
Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really thick ink. So the
And
he's
he
gonna-
knows
he's gonna work
of
well.
Viscous.
Gerda.
Yeah.
He probably has a good idea,
Okay.
but he's The way you have distracted him is to fluster him so much with what he feels are idiotic questions that his store could be on fire and it would take him a few minutes.
It could be.
It might be on fire.
So you're able to pull off your mini heist
Okay.
without a hitch. And at whatever point you decide to turn around and walk out, he's just going to probably breathe a huge sigh of relief.
How about I just get a price and then I could say, okay, I'm going to go. I'll go tell Gerda and I'll come back with the gold.
The price is so exorbitant, you know that the cult would never pay this much.
But I'll say, okay, let me go tell Gerda.
He gives you a price of like 2,000 coins, which is like buying a boat.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Whenever
a big boat with a crew.
I'm assuming he's eventually going to look my direction.
Oh, he will see you, but the success of you two in distracting him and just being nonchalant, you might as well have just walked in and out, and he would.
But I want to, when he looks my way, I want to.
That's when you're
give him
nail
what fuels the flames of your desire.
All right, read that out for us. So
give me fuel, give me fire. When you gaze intently in someone's eyes, you may ask their player what fuels the flame of their desire. They'll answer with the truth, even if the character does not know or would otherwise keep this hidden.
Okay.
Maybe I could be like, Uriel, didn't you need something? And then he can turn to you and and you can.
So it could be something he doesn't realize what his desire is, and he outs himself.
Yeah.
Or it's something he's trying to hold in, and he outs himself.
Okay.
What fuels the flames of your desire?
Fuels the flames of your. I want to answer it in a way that's intriguing rather than revealing. Do
you have to roll?
No.
It just happened. It's a thing that it just furthers the story, so it doesn't necessarily matter if.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah. So the roll thing isn't as important. Let's see. He, in so many words, he will tell you that he wants to succeed where his master has failed.
Okay.
So he's the lackey of the
lackey.
lackey.
And then we will walk right out.
Okay. That's where he went with that. What pushes him forward is to succeed where his master has failed. All right.
All right, sounds good. Back to the stinky salamander.
So now you have essentially what he was putting together as an order for certain things from different places.
Okay.
It could have been their order.
It could be.
I got it.
You bring that back to the stinky salamander?
And we will try to compare ourselves, I guess, and then if we need to procure somebody's services, we can do that later. But I do mention the whole, I got him to spill a little bit of the beans where he wants to succeed where his master has failed, so.
So that means he's a middleman.
Or his master is gone, has, deceased, and he kind of like took over.
So who's going to study the paper and the handwriting? Who's going to
It's got to be one of the smart people.
Say intelligence.
I'm going to say this is going to be a spout lore roll. So whoever does it, your better chances if you have a modifier and a positive for intelligence.
McTrillium, perhaps?
It won't be me.
I have a +1 on intelligence.
Say the same for both.
You both do. Who
She
wants
can
to
do
take
it.
a stab?
I mean, we're literally just looking
Yeah.
side-by-side comparison. So anyone...
Yeah. But the idea for me is you're going to get a real answer if you roll right rather than the guesstimate that everyone has now.
Right. Was your thing called Give Me Fuel, Give Me Fire? Like Metallica?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he has a lot of them that are like the Zuko styles from the Last Airbender. Zuko is the bad guy at the beginning, the firebender.
I was not
You
aware
didn't know that one?
Yeah.
Didn't?
Zuko.
Oh, goodness. Well, we had a phase. The kids were in that phase for a while.
A few years, I think it was. It was a long phase. It's a long series,
Watched it
too.
over and over again.
So, Kelly, you're going to have Trillium actually study this. And I would say from maybe the druidic perspective, you're going to study how the ink, which is ink and parchment and stuff, naturalistics of how they're actually melding and how things were written. You might not be studying it from a scholastic perspective, but who knows?
Are we in a room?
Only if you want to be.
I don't think we'd want to be doing this in like
we
a
could be
common
at the
area.
end. Yeah, I'm sure we got one common room for us.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
a
like
couple
our
of
little
adjoining
lounge
rooms or something. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So you're going to do the spout lore move, basic move, and then I will give you information based on your roll.
Cool. Oh.
I will give you very,
my.
very little information.
Yeah, even if you use
4
your stuff.
plus 1 is 5.
Yeah, so you guys have enough. You guys have
put a
enough
chip
points
in.
to turn it into a
mean-
7.
Let's see. Yeah.
I wouldn't waste points on that.
It's not a waste. I mean, I would say it's not a waste because you're going to get information.
I'll put one in.
Yeah.
All right. I'll use one of mine.
So that would make
that's
it
a 7?
So that'll be a 7. Yeah.
All right. So the end result of this is you can tell that these weren't both written by the same person, but they are clearly written by two people who were taught to write by the same person.
Okay.
So two people who took the same penmanship class and both excelled. They were A+ students in their class, but it is not exactly the same writing. There's a slight difference in the slant to like a vertical line. There's a little bit of a slant in one that isn't in the other.
Could I spout
something
lore
like
and
that.
say that I might know who a
Masters?
teacher would be?
I was just
Yeah.
about to
Or a
suggest
Because
that.
I'm
Yeah.
from here.
You're from
Yep.
the city, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yep,
come on.
Good
that's
idea.
not bad.
8,
You have your intelligence modifier, which is
0,
So 8 plus 0 is 8.
8.
Which makes there are only 2 places in the city that aren't schools that teach people how to write fancy, and it's probably from one of those 2 places. You don't have anything more exact than that. You just know where you might be able to find somebody.
But I would know the names of the people that.
Yes, I
Okay.
just don't know them off the top of my head right now.
I do.
You know, calligraphy instructor number 1 and number 2.
Sigrun and Brinton.
Oh, you have those in front of you. All right, now let me type those.
Okay.
How do you
Sigrun is
Sigrun?
Siggrun.
and
Brinton.
Brinton?
Sigrun's a guy. Brinton's a woman.
Okay, and they both work at competing calligraphy shops. There's a bad, bitter rivalry. My students write better
They're
than
more
your
of like
students.
a finishing school, kind
Yeah?
of a like some of the wealthier children in the
Yeah.
city
Yeah.
would go to these almost like etiquette schools and finishing
This is
schools.
Latin
to-
etiquette,
Yeah.
so they can make their mark. Cool.
They done learn to read and write nice.
They're fixing to learn it.
And now that we know where you go in Herak to write neatly, we will wrap up this episode, but we will
Never mind.
continue with the investigation in our next episode. For now, though, we can all say...
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Adios.
Fall into her wrath.
The preceding podcast was brought to you by One Joe Young. You can find us online at adventuresfromtheshed.com.